monster. We all go a little mad sometimes.
You won, and I died.
I feel woozy. They're coming to get you, Barbara.
How's it hanging, Phil?
What's the prime time, bitch?
Come and get it. So either put the gun down now, or kiss your ass goodbye.
Let's get this party started.
I agree, Dana. Let's get this party started. So, welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
And let's talk the year in horror. So, before we get started here, we do want to give the roundtable introductions, just in case you don't know. Over this way, we got my buddy, Sweet and Spooky Celise. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
We are well. We're glad to see that you are recovering.
Yes.
I know that
Thank you.
getting hit by that brick wall is not fun. So it's good to see that you're doing okay.
Yes, I'm doing good. Your girl was struggling there for a bit, but we're back.
And right below me is the busiest man in the world. Not only is he reviewing horror movies and ending the year, but he's building sheds and everything, man. He's working his ass off. So we got our dude Cody Leach down here. How you doing, Cody?
This isn't even me. It's just a hologram video that I prepared. I'm outside digging right now. I'm doing good. Thank you guys for inviting me.
Yeah.
No, it's an honor to have you, man. And then, of course, last but definitely not least, we got our buddy Haunted Hippie, Kylie, down here. How you doing, love?
I'm doing very well today. Thank you.
I know that you had a long journey today too, but we are glad that you could make it. I'm glad that you made it back and that you're here with us. So
Me too.
Before we get started here, we want to thank everybody for coming out. End of the year, trying to wrap everything up. We hope that everybody has a great holiday. And if you haven't already, all of their links are in the description. So make sure you are clicking, make sure you're subscribing to all of their channels because they're just purely fucking amazing. So, look, real quick, I did see that we had a super chat. Sean, I seen that you did one earlier, but
A super chat?
yeah, super chat.
Holy
You don't want one of those.
No, we don't want that.
But Sean, thank you for yours. And obviously
Yes.
Charles is here. Way too many. Couldn't narrow it down to 10. Me neither. That's why I have 12. I have 2 honorable mentions. But
Me as well.
we did get a donation, guys. So you know what that means.
Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby.
And the chat is just popping right now. So everybody, I can't catch up on everything right now because there's a lot of people here. But thank you guys all for being here.
Hi,
We
everybody.
love you all so much. We hope you guys have a great time tonight. So do you guys have honorable mentions or?
I did have a few, actually.
Okay. So we'll start with honorable mentions. Mine are The Cursed, also known as 8 for Silver. And my other honorable mention is Orphan First Kill. Now, we're going to keep this as spoiler free as we can. Obviously, they're new movies. They just came out this year. But a little bit about this. The Cursed is it's not your typical werewolf movie, but it is a very well done werewolf movie with some great practical effects and a nice story to go along with it. The acting was great. I had a lot of fun with it. And then Orphan First Kill. It's one of those movies that I watched it. I liked it. The twist shocked me. But it just wasn't good enough to be in the actual top 10. And something I wanted to say before we started this, I told the panel before, but any other year, 5 of the movies that didn't make it on my list could have been in the top 5. But this has been such a great year for horror. This was a genuinely hard list for me to put together. So, like I said, honorable mentions, The Cursed and Orphan First Kill. What about you, my love?
Okay, so I have Pearl.
As an honorable mention?
Yeah, so I liked it, and Mia Goth, I'm kind of obsessed with her a little bit. Like, I think she's amazing.
we all?
Go ahead and cancel me.
Hold on. Wait, you just said that Pearl is an honorable mention, right?
I mean, it is like, so I guess it was just like, it wasn't as suspense. Like, I loved X. Like, X was really, really good. And I like Pearl as well. So I had to add it to my honorable mentions. It just wasn't X to me. Okay.
My other honorable mention is X.
I know. It was more like a character study, but
yeah,
I absolutely loved it. And like I said, Mia Goth, I have a slight obsession with. And I also have Scream 5. I was very optimistic about this movie. I wasn't sure how it was gonna go, if I was gonna like it at all. But I enjoyed it. There was some good kills, suspenseful. So yeah.
I mean, we'll see how Ghostface Takes Manhattan goes, but
I'm excited for it.
I will
see
say that,
one fucking
like,
boat
I
in that
feel-
movie. I swear to God.
Oh, I'm so mad.
I'm just leaving, right?
right, just getting up and walking
Like
out.
we're done.
Um,
The
Go ahead.
the trailer with
Yeah.
them on the subway or wherever.
a
they're-
lot of really cool Easter eggs in that trailer.
It looks it. I mean, it's got me excited.
It'll be fun. Real quick, Celeste, before we get into yours, real quick. The Willmeister, Cody and Kylie, not gonna lie, this is like when Batman met Superman in the good movie from the 90s. I agree. Anytime that we get the chance to work with these wonderful people, I just gotta know real quick, which one is Batman? And which
Yeah,
one
I was gonna say, I was wondering the same thing. I was like, which one am I?
Cody takes Batman by default. Hey guys, I'm gonna give you the rest of my list now. So, Celeste, what about you? What's your honorable mentions?
Okay, so my 2 honorable mentions are Watcher, because I'm obsessed with Micah Monroe, and it was so well directed. And my second one is Sissy, which was a lot of fun. And I feel like a lot of people didn't talk about that one. Super fun, a lot of like Jalo elements, very girly, glittery, a moment.
I like that one a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
not a lot of people I feel like watched that one, but it was good.
Was good.
Yeah. Great choices. You're a little bit off the wall there to start us off with the honorable mentions. I like it. So, how about you, Cody? What about your honorable mentions?
Well, the one straight up horror movie I just wanted to mention because it was so much better than I thought it was going to be was Smile. I saw the trailer and I was just like, well, okay, Truth or Dare 2. And I was lucky enough to see the world premiere of it at Fantastic Fest. And I was like, kind of a bullshit movie to start this thing off with, but whatever. And I was like, damn, it was actually pretty fucking good. So didn't quite make the top 10, but I was just surprised how good it was. The other 2 I wanted to mention just because they would have been up in the top 5, but I didn't consider them completely horror movies, but they got a lot of horror elements, is The Menu, which was my number 1 movie out of Fantastic Fest. It's more of a satirical dark comedy, but there's some pretty horrific stuff in that movie. Highly recommend it if you're a foodie, especially. And Prey, the long-awaited return to form for the Predator franchise. It's always been more action, but there's always been a lot of horror elements in Predator. So just wanted to shout those out.
Awesome.
Nice.
And I got to say real quick to remember everybody, not everybody's going to have the same opinion. What may be an honorable mention for Cody may be very high on the list for someone else. So keep that on our list. Everybody.
Spoiler alert, Smile's
Right.
number 1 for Cody.
If all our lists were the same, this shit would be boring and there'd be absolutely no point in doing it at all. So I love the fact that we can all watch the same movie and have completely different opinions on them. So remember that. How about you, Kylie? What are your honorable mentions?
Okay, yeah, I had a lot of trouble narrowing it down. I literally have 6, so I won't like ramble about it. But Hocus Pocus 2, just because like not really a horror movie. And then 2 movies that like really got a rise out of me, but I didn't like necessarily love them. Speak No Evil on Shudder, and then Fall. Fall gave me so much anxiety, so I was like, yeah, it's worth giving a shout. And then
Speak No Evil made me so angry at the end of it.
it's a bit predictable, a bit frustrating. But yeah, then Orphan First Kill and The Invitation were both just really fun. Neither like fantastic, but it's really fun. And then my last one, recent release, Violent Night, I thought was super fun, which is also not like,
I had a really good time with that one too.
not fully horror, but yeah, big bearded man, sexy Santa killing a bunch of people. It's fun time.
Tim Allen definitely went off the deep end for that one.
Tim Allen.
So we want to say thank you again, guys. Again, I'm not going to be able to do much of the chat just because, but we do have our merch out, our new Sledgehammer horror merch that is out now. So, and something that I did want to do, we're only going to do it one time this go round, but I am going to do it for the people that didn't get to see last time. And for those of you that don't know, I am in a movie that'll be coming out here soon, hopefully by the spring. It's doing the film circuit right now on the festivals. It's actually doing really well. It was supposed to come out to Prime in January, but because of how well it's been doing in the festivals, they're going to keep it circulating throughout the festival circuit. But we are going to show you a little mini teaser for it real quick, and then we'll get back to our list.
Keep this thing in a piece.
What else is the basement good for? Besides a sex dungeon. Bingo.
Dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Grabbing the target.
That thing has killed like 1,000 people.
It's a piñata. That's their fault.
Oh my god.
It happens. So we're very excited for this. It's something that we worked very, very hard on. And we just hope that when the movie comes out next year, you guys can check it out. We hope that you enjoy it. Some crazy shit happens to me once that box is open. It's like, it gets pretty crazy down there. So I just wanted to show that again, guys, because I'm super proud of it. And I hope that you guys can get the chance to check it out when it comes out. But why don't we crack our top 10? You want to start us off, my love?
Yeah. My number 10 is Barbarian. Going into this movie, I had very little expectation for it. Like I didn't know anything that was going to happen with it. The trailer, because it's number 10. Are you canceling me? Okay. That's fine. That's fine. I can handle your cancels. Anyways, I thought it was more like a Hostel movie from the way that like the trailer and everything, that it showed. But I really liked it. I thought it was really good. It was suspenseful. There was, if you've seen it, there was some moments that you're like, what the hell's going on? But yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah. It was a good movie. So good. It's disrespectful to have it at number 10.
Okay. All right.
No, I dig it.
No, I'm not happy.
Leave me hanging.
Cancel me.
How about you, Celeste? What's your number 10?
Ooh, my number 10 is Scream 5. I hope nobody cancels me for that. I had a lot of fun with Scream 5. It almost was in my honorable mentions. I don't think it's the most memorable film of the year, but it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that Scream 2022, Scream 5, whatever you want to call it, is it came out the wrong year. It just came out in a year that was way too stacked with amazing horror movies.
I actually forgot that it came out this year until I looked at my
I
Letterboxd list, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that was this year."
It was like the beginning of the year, January.
Yeah. So that's one of those things where, any other year this could have been a top 3 or 4 movie for me, honestly, but it's not.
Yeah.
Because of the year it came out. So, how about you, Cody? What comes in number 10 for you?
Number 10, going along with Smile. This is another movie that I didn't have very high expectations for. Orphan First Kill. I did not, unfortunately, get the chance to watch the twist of the first movie within the film. Somebody spoiled it for me. So I never really got to have that shock that, I know. Exactly.
Yeah,
Who did that?
It was my mother, actually.
Oh my god.
Short story. So, yeah.
We're like, man.
What kind of idiot did that to you?
You're like, it was my mom.
Her and my father and my little brother were watching it in the other room, and I was playing video games or something. And my brother got bored. He was only like 6 years old, 7 years old. Walked into the room, started playing with me, and then she comes in and she just opens the door and she's like, "Oh my god, this just happened!" And I was like, "What the fuck?" And so, yeah. But even knowing the twist, when I finally did see it, it's still a very good, solid modern slasher movie. But when they announced the sequel, I'm like, really? Like, it's been so long. Like, she's a full-grown woman now. Like, what are you gonna do? And of course, we heard the story in the original movie about this is what happened. This is not the first time she's done this. And so my closed-mindedness, I'm like, okay, so it's going to be just that little tiny story that we heard in the first film, just draw it out to 90 minutes. And I didn't have any faith that they were going to be able to pull off her being a little girl again. Was wrong on both counts. Thought that they did an amazing job with making her look like a little girl again. And like you, Ken, the twist, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, very rarely can you surprise me. There's going to be a couple movies on this list that achieve that, but that was the one where I was like, oh shit, okay, I'm on board. And I dug where it went. It was dark, it was fucked up, and I liked it.
Yeah, I agree. And I love when they're at the party, like when all the teens are at the party and they're listening to the Juliana theory. I was like, hey, I did that same thing in high school. Oh fuck, I'm old. This movie took place 20 years ago. Shit. Like we were literally driving and watching the movie. I don't know if I should say that out loud, but I literally was like, we were just listening to the Juliana theory. She was like, yeah, you're old. I was like, fuck. Shit. So how about you, Kylie? What comes into number 10 for you?
Number 10 for me is a Shudder original. It's called Who Invited Them. I don't know. I didn't really see that many people talking about this one, but I really, really enjoyed it. It's a very niche kind of horror that I really enjoy, which is like dinner party horror and like social faux pas horror, which is also why I gave Speak No Evil an honorable mention. I would never rewatch that movie, but it was very, very effective in its horror because the main horror element is just basically the buildup of social faux pas and just like constantly making you more and more uncomfortable. So I think Who Invited Them did it really well. There's a really good twist in it. Yeah, it's very, very simple but effective, and you should watch it.
Yeah, nice.
That's another thing, guys. If you hear a movie that you haven't seen this year yet, make sure you're writing it down. Make sure you're checking these movies out because we know that, especially now with the 75 different streaming services, it is hard to lose things in the shuffle. So if you hear a movie mentioned that you haven't seen, make sure you check it out because it obviously means a lot to all of us. So my number 10 is Scream 2022, whatever you want to call it.
You threw me off. I was like, what the fuck is that?
You know, it's one of those movies that I did genuinely like it. We left the theater and I was like, wow, I really liked that movie. I called the killer early on, which kind of bummed me out, you know. But at this, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything, but I love to be surprised at movies. And this one just didn't have that surprise factor for me, but it was still solid. It was gory. It had some cool daylight kills. I had a nice throwback to Psycho with the shower scene. There was a lot that I genuinely loved about this movie. Yeah, and our main character, seeing them come back for the next installment next year, I'm super excited about. And yeah, so that is my number 10. Before we get into number 9, which will be Celie starting us off, I want to remind you guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to the panel. All their links are in the description. If you haven't, to Sledgehammer Horror, she's beautiful and smart and funny, and I'm here. So make sure you hit that subscribe button because we'd love to have you guys along for this ride too. So how about you, Celie? Let's start off with number 9.
Number 9 for me is Orphan First Kill. I mean, this movie was a lot of fun, way more fun than I was expecting. And I think Julia Stiles and Isabel Furman just like slayed. I mean, the reason this movie is on here is because this is like not a spoiler, but there was this one line that Julia Stiles says where she's like, okay, now I'm going to go upstairs and fuck my husband. And I was like, bitch, slay. And that's why it's on my list.
Yeah. I actually thought Matthew Finland did a great job as the brother too. Like he was just that much of a douchebag that I wanted to punch him in the face. So well, like, I love the fact that he was able to pull that off.
You know that him and Julia Stiles did a damn good job when you find yourself rooting for Esther, knowing all the things that she did in the first movie.
Yes, exactly. Good call. Well, let's move right on to you, Cody. What's your number 9?
My number 9 is Hellraiser. A movie that I had a lot of expectations for. It was one of the surprise screenings at Fantastic Fest. It was the last night that I was there, so it was a really cool movie to kind of end on. But yeah, I've never been that huge of a fan of the first film. I think it's clearly the best of the franchise, but it's not one of those like all-time horror classics for me. It's just never really done that. So for me, I've always thought a modern remake, reboot of Hellraiser could actually do a lot of really cool things that maybe I'll like more. And it didn't quite reach the point where I would say it's the best of the franchise. But what I liked about the new one is that it really put the Cenobites full focus to where they're the looming threat. They're the impending doom, and you feel it throughout the entire movie with the setup and the plot. They're not just kind of this secondary thing, which it's weird for Pinhead being probably the most badass looking of all the horror icons. He always feels like a guest star in his own franchise. And this was the first Hellraiser movie where I watched it, and Pinhead and the Cenobites are the stars. They're the reason you're there, and the movie knows it. Practical effects were awesome. The new design of the Cenobites were awesome. I like the way that the lament configuration became like the plot device, not just a prop.
Yeah.
Could have been a little better in the character department as far as the main characters. A couple of things that fell short on, but by the end of it, I was like, shit, give me more. I'm on board for this new version.
Mm-hmm. And it had a nice little twist to it too. Usually, the Hellraiser movies are pretty straightforward. What you see is what you get, but this had a nice little twist to it there at the end as well. And I do want to say, I would eat here, Cinnabites and Cinnabuns. I just two of my favorite things. So how about you, Kylie? What comes at number 9 for you?
Number 9 for me is also Scream 5, Scream 2022. I think that it would have been a bit higher up on the list for me because I love the characters so much, like all the new characters and returning. I thought like the chemistry was so good. It's like one of my favorite casts probably of the franchise, but it just fell a bit lower because I didn't like the killer reveal too much. But I think since experiencing the release of Halloween Ends, and that fandom is different. Like I feel like the fandom for Halloween and Friday the 13th are like some of the worst, and I experienced a lot of it firsthand because my Halloween Ends review did really well, and so that gave me a little bit more appreciation for the killer reveal. I was like, actually, yeah, but they're still not my favorite killers of the franchise. So,
right,
yeah.
Well, at least they didn't have them riding on mopeds together. So my number 9 is going to be a little bit lower than I think probably everybody else. Everybody else probably has this movie a little higher on their list, and that's Terrifier 2. I genuinely love this movie. I love it. I think the cast is phenomenal. The kills are great. But holy shit, they could have cut 45 minutes off of this movie, and I still would have felt the same about it.
Wait till you see Avatar 2.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
We're watching it, and I'm like, this is dope. This is cool. But there's so many moments where I was like, is this necessary for the story? I think the inclusion of the little pale girl is phenomenal. I would love to see some more of her. Obviously, David Howard Thornton is just he's a modern day icon. Like he is just, whether it's this, whether it's the mean one, like his character acting, even if the movie's not that great, he is always stealing every single scene that he is in. I love Lauren in this movie. I thought Lauren was amazing. She's a great new female lead, final girl that's a fucking badass where you just genuinely don't want to mess with her. So I would love to see this movie continued. Obviously, with the Terrifier 3, we already know we're going to get it. But Cody, one thing you said a little bit ago that I kind of wanted to touch on for a quick second is you talked about movies that surprised you this year. And I've talked about this before, but something Terrifier 2, it proved me wrong 100% on something I've said for a long time. I said we'll never get another movie like The Exorcist, where people are going to go see it in the theater and they're going to be crying and puking and running out of the theater. And I said that would never happen again. And this movie,
Damien said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah.
Right. And this movie shows that horror rules the fucking cinema world. The budget they filmed it on with absolutely no promotion, no advertising, and they brought in over $2 million. The last I looked, it was $2 million on the little budget that they had. So now I just got to ask, actually, wow. Now I need to know, is David Howard Thornton going to be dressed as Art the Clown at the Oscars when he receives his award? That's all I want to know. When he's at the Academy
I
Awards,
hope so.
Will he be dressed Just imagine him walking up to get the award.
I love the fact that they submitted it for Oscar approval just to just to do this.
Yes, that was so great, man. So
it
great.
should for effects. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and I really, really liked the movie, but like I said, the thing that holds it down a little for me is it was just excessively long, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I liked the movie a lot, but it could have been shorter.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so low for me.
So mine is actually Terrifier 2 as well for my number 9.
And guys, as always, we do not know each other's list.
Yeah, no.
Completely genuine.
I love the gore. It's a freaking gore fest, and I love that about it. To the point where I had to like turn my head a couple of times and was like, I think I'm done with this popcorn. Like, ugh. Like it grossed me out. And I don't get like that. Like I like gore.
The dog or the possum.
The possum part, yeah.
Yep.
I was like, here, you this, yeah.
Yeah, no thanks.
That's
and
when
like
I
you
started to
talked
feel
about-
queasy too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, I was done eating at that point.
Yeah.
And David
David Howard Thornton.
David Howard Thornton, yes. He is amazing. Like, he doesn't say anything, but you still get like the full-on personality of him. And
Yes.
he's still terrifying, but he's like humorous at the same time. Like, he nails that clown.
The eyeballs.
Yeah, like he's funny,
So
but he's
good.
scary, and I love that. The little pale girl, she did amazing. I had a lot of fun with this movie, but like you also said, it was so freaking long, like way too long. There was a couple sequences that could have been like that dream sequence that just kept going and going. That whole thing probably could have been cut out.
Yeah,
to be honest. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it.
All right, guys. So real quick, so that's everybody did their number 9s. All right, chat, keep going. You guys are awesome. I'm reading along as we go, and I'm loving every minute of it. Thank you guys.
Possums.
I love possums. Yeah. So yeah, you guys are doing great. We love reading along. Please keep telling us about your favorite movies of the year.
Yes.
Cody, you want to give us your number 8?
My number 8 is Scream 5. Again, that was a movie that when I saw my list, I was like, I'm pretty sure that was 2021. I gotta check. I don't know. Yeah, I'm a very casual Scream fan. For somebody that grew up in the 90s, that's a rarity. That seems to be a lot of people's favorites. Just for me, I don't know why. I can get into why, but it's a long story I've told a bunch of times. But it took me a long time to really get into the franchise. And I think that it's probably the most consistent as far as quality of any of the slasher franchises. And I got exactly that with Scream 5. It's still on par with the quality. I think that the tension, I think the way that it was directed, one of the better directed movies, especially being the fact that it wasn't directed by Wes Craven. That was really nice to see that they didn't drop the ball with that.
Yeah.
And I liked a lot of the new characters. What I thought that they achieved that they're not getting enough credit for was I think they really did a good job at kind of starting this new generation of Scream films with a new cast and kind of gently, for at least 2 of them, gently letting go of the original 3 cast members. And I get the whole debate about equal pay and all that kind of stuff, but that was one of the things that was kind of frustrating me with all the anger to where, why isn't Sydney in this? This movie's going to suck. I'm like, well, they kind of set it up where they could do that. Like, maybe she's just not a part of the story. Nonetheless, conversation for another day. Kills. That's the only thing the Scream franchise hasn't quite delivered for me. The kills are just fine. It's just kind of stabs. A couple of violent ones. It was certainly a little bit meaner, a little bloodier than usual, especially with one character in particular. And the villain reveals what let it down quite a bit. Otherwise, this probably would be at least 2 spots higher. I was like you. Within the first scene after the opening, I knew who the killer was. One line of dialogue. I was like, wait a minute. Pretty sure. And then by the end, I was like, oh, fuck. Okay. Whatever.
Right. I wanted so bad to be proven wrong there.
Me too.
What I did like is, this movie right away subverts our expectations of having our opening person survive.
That opening, the whole opening was amazing.
Yeah, when you see her, you're like, no, you can't start the movie. So I get that. Kylie, before you give us your number 8, Peter, what's up, buddy? Thank you for stopping in.
Hey, Peter.
Nice hair. Thank you, sir. And I agree, Terrifier was about 20 minutes too long. So yeah, I think that's the biggest consensus about the film is it was just a little bit too long. So and I appreciate your donation, brother. Thank you so much. It really does mean a lot to us. Will help us out. Christmas is coming and we got 3 shitty kids. So how about you, Kylie?
Preach.
You're not all true.
No, listen, here's the thing. Anybody that's like, oh, that's mean, you must not have kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I say fuck those kids, like I say that in sincerity, okay?
Yeah.
That is me and my wife's favorite catchphrase of all time, and we say it with love.
People get so offended, but it's like, oh, clearly you don't spend enough time with your kids if you don't feel like fuck them kids.
Yeah, if you don't ever feel like kicking a kid, you don't live with your kids.
I'll put me and my wife in a nutshell. I'm sure you guys will understand this. We were watching some game show, and this guy had won like, $250,000, whatever. Hey, what are you gonna use the money for? He's like, I'm putting it all into my kids' fun. Me and my wife went, man, fuck them kids. Like, as soon as we saw that,
I feel that way so much that I'll go back and watch Pet Cemetery semi-scene just to be like, look at all the money they're saving in college tuition right now. I feel like he's chasing that kid to the road. Like, go, Gage, go. No more school supplies.
Oh, Lord.
How about you, Kylie? What's your number 8?
My number 8, it's another newer release. I think to Shudder, right? Christmas Bloody Christmas. It's basically like the Santa Claus Terminator movie, and it's really fun.
We're watching that
Oh.
on Sunday.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
No, we're watching it Sunday.
Oh, it's so, oh God, I loved it. But I think it kind of depends on the type of characters that you like. Because a lot of people made the complaint that the characters were kind of annoying and you spend like the entire first act kind of just with them before a lot of the action starts. For me, I actually really liked the characters and they had so much chemistry to the point where when stuff started, I felt like the stakes were really high, which I typically don't feel in slasher movies. And also, it's like dripping in style. It's so like all the Christmas lights and stuff. There's snow. It's shot on 16 millimeter and the lighting is so good. Like it's a really like gritty looking, just cool film. There's like the budget definitely shows sometimes like the Santa Claus robot does just look like a guy, you know, for most of the time. But and there are way too many like false endings, but it's overall really fun, really bloody, just a good time, I think.
I'm very excited to watch. I've heard a lot of really good things about it, so I'm very excited to actually be able to check it out.
Yeah, made my top 10, you know?
Yeah.
Nice.
So my number 8 was an honorable mention for somebody, and that's Pearl.
It's 8.
Yeah,
Like, it's
you know
really
what
not that.
you know what
okay.
it's not.
Okay.
It's not an honorable mention.
Okay.
So this movie, obviously much more of a character study, like you said, than it
Yeah.
is a horror film. But I just want to say that last shot, that unbroken shot of her giving that dialogue to her friend when they're at the table, Misty, something like that. When she's given that unbroken scene where she's just talking the whole time, and like I'm watching the scene, and I'm like, oh my God, they haven't cut it off. It's still an unbroken shot. It's still an unbroken shot. Mia Goth just absolutely
she's phenomenal.
just crushed that whole scene. And for her to do that all as a one take shot is fucking beautiful. The kills I thought were good enough. Obviously you didn't have as many in this film, but it's one of those movies that I just genuinely had a very, very fun time watching. Just not as much fun as its predecessor, but it's a fun movie if you're big into character studies and finding out the depth of what a person goes through to become who they end up becoming. This is probably a great movie for you. And it even plays with the fact that maybe certain characters in the movie are figments of our imagination, you know, and I really like the idea that this movie can be what you make it to be. They leave it purposely vague, purposely left open at certain parts that you can fill in the blanks for yourself. And that's something that I really, if they can trust their movie enough to leave it up to the audience, they've done something right. So coming to number 8 for me is Pearl.
Nice. My number 8 is Nope. I thought Jordan Peele did a really good job with this. Like, it's not another just like alien invasion, what I kind of thought it was going to be. And like the look of the monster, I think is so freaking cool looking. I love the look of it. All the cast was amazing. Daniel Kaluuya, like always, he did phenomenal. But Steven Yeun, he nailed his role. You know, I've really only seen him in like The Walking Dead, but in this movie, I like, you felt his emotion. And I thought he did amazing. And like the ape scene, the incident, I love that. That whole
his backstory is so fucking tragic in that movie.
Yeah, and like you can feel like the tragedy when he talks about it. So yeah, I really liked Nope. So that's my number 8.
Good choice.
Thank you.
How about you, Celeste? What's your number 8?
My number 8, I feel like this is like low-key controversial. It's Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I feel like people either hated it or loved it. I'm feeling like Ken hated it. Did you hate it? Am I getting the cancel button?
He hated it. Yeah.
I did. I'm a boomer, man. I'm old as shit. I was like, these kids are annoying. Shut up.
So many people hated it though. That's fair. It's kind of a jarring movie, but I thought the cast was great and it was a lot of fun. Rachel Sennett, amazing.
She's great. Yeah,
she's great.
Well, as you guys know, if somebody's out there making art, I really do hope people enjoy it.
Yeah.
Bodies, Bodies, Bodies just wasn't for me. But to be fair, I haven't fucked Pete Davidson yet. I know a river long enough contains no bends. There's a possibility, but as of this filming, me and Pete haven't had a chance yet.
You're his
so
type. Maybe.
I know I'm pretty cute. But I don't hate Pete Davidson like everybody else.
I think he's funny.
Yeah,
I think
don't
he's funny
hate him.
too.
You know,
He's
like I know a lot
funny.
of people like hate Pete Davidson, and I'm like,
The
he's made
people
good
who
stuff.
hate Pete Davidson are the men who like don't understand why women are so attracted to him. It's like he's 6'3" and funny.
Right.
Why is that
It's true.
confusing?
It's all about the personality. Like,
Yeah.
stop hating. I don't know.
Trust me, it is all about the personality. Trust me, you got to be funny if you want to make something work. So obviously, guys, we're having a great time. Please continue to give us your thoughts in the chat. JDev, yes, you are canceled for coming in late, you son of a bitch. Now sit down and buckle up and get ready.
Hey, J-Dub.
It is nice to see you, buddy. So now we're going to start off at our number 7, and that would be Haunted Hippie starting us off.
Okay. So this one was a Paramount Plus release, and it's called Significant Other, and also stars Maika Monroe. Am I pronouncing that wrong though? Because Celise, you said, how did you pronounce it?
It's Micah.
Micah. Okay, Maika Monroe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it stars her, and I feel like nobody watched this movie, but I adored it. I mean, she's fantastic. She also was an executive producer on it, and it's like it's a dark comedy, but it's I can't say what else because I feel like you should go into it like as blind as you possibly can because the movie has 2 really sharp turns. Like it with each act, like there's a new turn, and it's pretty wild, while still managing to be like pretty contained, and it really just follows these 2 people. And it was all shot on location in like the forest near Portland, Oregon. So it's gorgeous, and of course, like her acting is fantastic. And yeah, highly recommend. I really can't say too much because I feel like you really need to go in blind. But yeah, not enough people were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did any of you guys see it?
I
No.
saw it.
Oh, you did?
It's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am gonna check it out.
Yeah, we need to check it out.
What is this? I agree. I agree.
Maybe.
So we're gonna go hand in hand here. We had the prequel. Now we're gonna jump ahead to the 70s for my number 7, and that is X. Another movie that really surprised me. We got to meet up with a very good friend of ours, Anna, sweet Anna, and go see this movie together with her, which obviously I go into movies blind a lot. I really try not to watch trailers. So I called Anna and I'm like, hey, me, you, and Ashley should go see X. And then we get there, we're watching it, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope she doesn't think we're trying to smash. Like, this wasn't like an X and chill thing, you know, but
Oh my God.
it was an
She
amazing
looks over and you're just like,
Wait, is she into it?
Yeah, we didn't invite you here for that. I mean,
Unless you're into it, you know.
It was really cool to be able to, you know, go out with a friend that means a lot to us and be able to see a movie. And
It was a lot of fun.
yeah, and on top of that, it was a very good movie to see. And it's one of the movies that when you go back and rewatch it after you've seen it, you get to see a whole lot of, you know, foreshadowing throughout the whole movie. Like, they tell you how each character is going to die at the very beginning of the movie, essentially. And I think it's brilliant the way that Ty West did that. Obviously very excited for Maxine. Scott Mescudi, Kid Cudi, he blew me away in this movie. And not just when he opened the door naked.
I was gonna say
everything he did in
talking
this
about
movie
foreshadowing.
blew me away. And it's just one of those things where I've always liked his music. I've always thought he was, you know, I'm not much of a hip hop rap guy, but I've always thought he was super dope. And you know, seeing him in the movie I thought was really good. There was just so much about this movie that I thought was incredible. And I've always said I'm not that big. I know I grew up with 80 slashers, but I'm not that much of a sexual person when it comes to watching things on screen. But when the story is this damn good and makes this much sense, it's amazing. And the one dude reminded me of Lou Taylor Pucci in Evil Dead 2013.
He did. Yes.
He really looked like him. Yeah.
I was like, damn, he looks just like my buddy Lou. So yeah, I really did enjoy X. And again, any other year, the last 5 years, X would have probably been number 1 on, you know, any list besides my top 6. But if it came out last year, it probably would have been my number 1. So X for me comes in at number 7.
All right.
What about you, my love?
My number 7 is Smile. This movie almost made me feel uncomfortable like the entire time I was watching it. Like it there was a lot of like mental health type things that went along with it, and it and like the jump scares, like they lingered on, like you think it's coming, and then it just like keeps you on the edge of your seat. So it really did freak me out. There was maybe too many like ending, like you think that this is going to happen and it didn't, like
The fake outs.
like that happened a couple of different times and it kind of got old. But other than that, like like I just felt super uncomfortable and anxious the entire time I watched it.
We'll talk more about that in a little bit.
I know.
Celeste, before we get into yours, real quick, Tatum, thank you. Merry
Thanks,
Christmas
Tatum.
to you. Ken and Ashley, love you guys so much. My heart, thank you. I'm so glad we meet and things hard in my life. And since you've become friends, we
Merry
love you
Christmas. We love you too.
we appreciate you
Thank
very,
you.
very much. And I just did see one thing that I wanted to show real quick. Where'd it go? Because this made me almost laugh out loud. Yep. Opens door. Good evening, Mr. Cody. I was like, he's been bitten by something. Everybody take care of him.
What's wrong with your leg?
So yeah, that just it made me feel quite upset. I was like, that's not fair. They said mine looked okay, but that's your line, babe. So Celeste, you want to give us your number 7?
Yeah.
7.
Yes. My number 7 is Bones and All. I recently just watched this. I didn't think
heard
I
this
would
is so
like love
good.
this movie, but I loved this movie. I was just expecting it to be kind of like artsy and boring, but I feel like it was really beautiful, and Timothée Chalamet, and I do not know the actress's name, so forgive me, but she was really great. And yeah, it just spoke to me, especially the ending. It was such a tragedy. I love a beautiful tragedy, you know?
Is this Rocco?
Yeah, that's Rocco.
What's up, buddy? Nice to see you, man.
Hey.
We'll be seeing you soon. No, Bones and All, it's a new release, isn't it? Didn't that just
Yeah.
come out?
It is,
Yeah, that's one that I've had like 5 people hit me up like, dude, you got to check out Bones and All. You're gonna love it. You will never love a cannibal movie as much as this one. So
Well, I
definitely
love
encourage
Rob
it.
more, but it's fine.
Right here. The actress's name is Taylor Russell.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so we will definitely check it out. And Rocco, I'm glad to see you're here, buddy. So how about you, Cody? What's your number 7?
My number 7 is a Hulu exclusive called Fresh. And it's a movie that I almost completely missed because I did not hear about it. I was not privy to the conversation of it earlier in the year when it came out. I was literally just laying in bed one night, bored out of my mind with did not care what was on screen. I was just in that mood. I'm like, oh, whatever. And I'm scrolling, and I usually don't have Hulu, but I had it for whatever reason at that moment. And I look, I'm like, movie Sebastian Stan. Fuck it. And I just click play. And wow, like I'm not even really going to describe the plot because I don't think many people have seen it, and I don't want to give away what happens. But essentially, it sets it up to where you have this girl who's down on her luck with relationships, kind of lost her faith in men in general. And good old Winter Soldier comes in with his platinum penis, and he's just like, "All right, hey." And so he
I now know
like
my Halloween costume for next year.
I'm telling you, he's kind of comes in like the knight in shining armor and restores her faith. She's got this, it starts off like this beautiful romance, and you're like, okay, well, I wasn't in the mood for a romance, and like, oh, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
So things turn.
Yeah.
And for the rest of the movie, it's a kind of a really, really dark comedy, but it's pretty horrific with some of the things that it explores. I like seeing that darker side of Sebastian Stan because I've only seen him in things like the Marvel movies. And yeah, it's just this and my number 6 kind of go hand in hand with a lot of the things that happen in it. But this one was just a really nice surprise that stuck with me.
And one thing I want to say about this movie is thank you for marrying me 17 years ago so I don't ever have to date people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That seems like quite the scary scene nowadays. But yeah,
You never know what you
definitely that's another movie that Hellraiser and Hocus Pocus did not make my list, and they were all like my next in line of my honorable mentions. So yeah, we will jump up to number 6 real quick. And I agree. Please sub Cody. He's amazing. Don't worry, girls. Yours will be up there here in a second. I'm sure Tatum always does it. My number 6, going back to the world of Jordan Peele and Nope, This movie did subvert my expectations as to what an alien movie could be.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the direction that they went. And you were talking earlier about Stephen Yeun and, you know, his character in this movie. I just felt like it was so tragic and how he tries to be so uplifted and loving about it. But at the same time, like they're making Saturday Night Live skits about it. And it's almost become a joke to people. And he's had to live with this his whole life. And that to me was so heartbreaking to watch. And watching Stephen Yeun put on, you know, we had seen him in Mayhem, I think is what it was called. And then, you know, obviously The Walking Dead is Glenn. But I feel like in this movie, he was just a different character. He was evil.
Sure.
He was, you know, there's just so many different things about him that was so great. So, yeah. And obviously the main story, the only thing is I wish we could have had more of the dad in the movie. Why is his name slipping me? The Thing.
Keith David?
Keith David. I wish we could have got more Keith David in the movie, obviously. Ain't no quarter taking out Keith David. Give me a fucking break. Come on. But yeah, it was a great movie. I really liked it. I had so much fun when we went and watched it. We immediately got it the minute it came out on physical media, so we could watch a lot of the behind the scenes and extras. So yeah, for me, number 6 is going to be Nope.
Nice. My number 6 is Orphan First Kills. We've already kind of talked about the twist. I honestly didn't even expect a twist because, you know, the first one was so crazy. Yeah. So I went into it, you know, kind of like Cody did, and we're just going to get like the story from the first one. And then that twist came and I was like, what? Wow. Okay. I'm down with this. Like, this is dark.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, and they made her look pretty good. Like they made her look younger, which I also was worried about. I was like, oh, this is going to be that she's not going to look good at all. Like they're going to do all these special effects and it's just going to look like crap. And she looks pretty good. So yeah, it was a good time for sure.
Absolutely. So Lise, before you give us your number 6 real quick, 3 surprising horror movies of 2022, Orphan First Kill, Studio 666, and Terrifier 2. First Kill had twists and turns I didn't expect. 666 was just a lot of fun, and Terrifier 2 was a gruesome good time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josie, for your super chat. We really appreciate it. And obviously, I didn't do this with Peter earlier, but this is another donation, guys. So I am going to do my best to get this stuck in your head for the next couple of days.
Ooh, baby, ooh, baby, ooh, baby, ooh, baby.
So, Celeste, again, thank you so much, Josie. We appreciate it. Celeste, you want to give us your number 6?
Yes, my number 6 is X, for basically all the reasons that Ken said. So much fun. The performances are all really great. Obviously, Mia Goth is the standout for me. And yeah, this is also another movie that I just wasn't expecting to be obsessed with, but I feel like Ty West is so good at building this world. And yeah, it's just it's a lot of fun. Great cast.
For sure.
It's one of those movies that I think we got that one immediately as well. And obviously can't wait to see the story continued.
Yeah.
So how about you, Cody?
Number 6?
Yep.
Number 6 for me is Bones and All. This was a movie that was nowhere on my radar. I had never been to a film festival before. So outside of night 1, when we saw Smile and Terrifier 2, from then on, me and my buddy Sean, I was just like, dude, I don't know what any of these are. What sounds good? You basically go in an app. It tells you every day what's happening. You pick your tickets. And they give you a brief little synopsis. They'll tell you the director, they'll tell you the cast, and it's kind of walking in blind for like 7 days straight, which is a wild experience. So with Bones and All, I didn't know it was a cannibal movie. Didn't even know it was a horror movie. All I knew was Timothée Chalamet's in it, and it looked romantic on the poster. So I was like, he was good in Dune. We'll check this one out, I guess. Here's me, like the first 5 minutes of Bones and All. Like I'm exhausted at this point because I've already watched like 9 movies in 4 days. And so I'm just, oh shit, she just ate a finger. Like it just, like it was just, it just perked me up. I was just like, what the fuck did we just walk into? What is this? From that moment forward, the movie is just nuts. And it's the guy that directed the Suspiria remake. So I should have expected it. But yeah, from the moment where she chews the finger off at the little sleepover, I was like, oh, okay. It's really dark and grotesque. Some of the things that they have to do to lure people in, like Timothy Chalamet's got this whole little plot that he does with this guy who's working at a fair. I thought that Mark Rylance, like as good as the two leads are, Mark Rylance was insane in the movie, to where he's this creepy dude that just keeps popping up. And yeah, for a movie that is very hardcore with the cannibal side of things, but also very touching with the romance, like Celise said, it ends in a very like beautifully tragic note.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was one of those movies where I walked out of the festival going, that was fucking awesome. And I would have probably not given it a chance had I not walked in blind, because on paper it just doesn't seem like my kind of movie. It's my kind of movie.
Dude, I'm so excited to check this movie out.
Yeah.
Like it's something that I've heard so many great things about, and to have both of you have it on your list, it's something that I definitely am going to have to check out now.
Yes.
So how about you, Kylie? What's your number 6?
My number 6 was Cody's number 7, I think, Fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one hit pretty close to home. Like, you know, being in your, well, she's older than me, but like, yeah, being in my early 20s, like in the adult dating world sucks. Oh my God. It sucks so hard.
Can only imagine.
Yeah, so they kind of nailed that. And then it just, I don't think I knew that it was a cannibalism movie going in. I can't remember now because that came out in like March, but I don't think I knew that. I just remember being insanely surprised by the movie and being so floored by the performances, especially Sebastian Stan, because I'm like, you know, just thank God he's branching out and doing something so funky and weird. Yeah, it just was so much fun. It was so funny, and it seemed so like self-aware. It was just very absurd, and that's just one of my favorite subgenres. I love absurd dark comedies. So yeah, I had a blast.
Nice.
Now I want to say real quick that I get, you know, being in the dating world can be scary. Okay. Now here's what I want you to imagine. Imagine looking like this and being in the dating world, because that's me. That's what I look like.
Shut up, Ken.
So if I was
what they
to
say
go
about big
date
ears
right now, yeah, they're wrong.
Oh, stop.
So like this is a true story. When we were like, you know, we were young, this movie had just come out, and our little brother.
Yeah, my little brother, he was like 2, maybe. He's like 21 now, but he was like, that's Kenny. And it was
They
Mr.
had
Tumnus
Mr. Tumnus on the McDonald's
Yeah, on the
box.
McDonald's box.
He was like, it's Kenny.
No.
Lived with him since then.
And it's funny because we went to, this is a complete true story, guys. I would not make this up. We were at our local mall, and this kid ran up to me. It was like, Mr. Tumnus, Mr. Tumnus. And I swear on my mother's ashes, this is a true story. I was like, I'm his brother Steve, but I'll tell him he said, you know, break this little kid's heart. But it was the craziest thing. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So just imagine now being 36, having 3 kids, divorcing your wife, and going into the dating world like this. So, you got any grass I can chew on? You know, like it's one of those things. So, I did see something cool here real quick I wanted to share. Where did you go? I am new to your live chat. Well, thank you,
Hi,
Jason.
nice.
Please continue to chat. You know, we got a lot of great people here in the chat that you can get to know. These amazing people, their channels are in the description. But Tatum did put them up in the chat, guys. So I'm trying to find where she put right here. We got Sweet and Spooky. Make sure you're clicking that so you can go and subscribe to Sweet and Spooky. And we have Haunted Hippies right here. So if you haven't already, please make sure that you are subscribing to these amazing people, because not only are they the coolest people in the world, but they make amazing content. So I'm confused. You all talk about Isabel Furman like she's young, Arnold in Terminator 6 when she's only a few years older than Kylie. I mean, I get that, but she's supposed to look what, like 8?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
the
know?
first movie, she was a child playing a child.
was,
Now she's
yeah,
a woman
she was
playing a
9, I
child.
think,
She's
yeah.
not that
Right.
big anymore.
Right.
So yeah, I did. I did escape.
Yeah.
And if you guys need help finding love in your town, I know the place to go.
Oh, God.
And you may or may not get eaten.
Yeah, the bots heard us talking about Fresh, and they're like, "Oh, you need some love, huh?" So again, thank you guys all in the chat. Please keep going. I love it. It's amazing to watch you guys. So let's go to our number 5, and that'll be you starting us off, my love.
Okay, so I had to add this to my list, and it is Hocus Pocus. And okay, so it might not be completely horror, but there is a couple of like jump scares in it. At least one that I can think of when they're singing, you know.
Yeah. Who are they singing to? You.
Yeah.
I was like,
the witches.
we actually went to Salem. We went to
did.
Salem. We
We've
took
seen
a
it
trip
in
to Salem
Salem.
and we watched this movie in Salem when
And-
it came out. And it was pretty cool.
Oh man,
It really was.
I would
yeah.
love to do that.
Yeah,
So-
it was dope.
The first one I have this unhealthy obsession with. And so I went into this movie knowing that it wasn't going to be anywhere near how I felt about the first one, and I had a lot of fun with it. And I really liked it. It was nostalgic for me. And I loved it.
Mhm.
So I had to add it to my list just because.
Well, I had it on my list, but I had to bump a bunch of things up for a movie coming
well,
up.
it's like we started making this list and then we started watching other things, and I'm like, oh shit, like where does this one go? And I gotta add this one. So yeah,
It happens.
it does happen.
So how about you, Celeste? What comes in at number 5 for you?
At number 5 for me, I have Barbarian. This movie is a wild ride.
Yeah.
Great cast. The camera work is insane.
Mhm.
And I believe, I'm not sure, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, wasn't this director's like first like feature?
It's
It
the
was
guy
his-
from
it
The
was his
Whitest
horror
Kids You
debut,
Know.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's like insane to be a first feature. It's crazy. I don't want to talk too much about it because like you just have to see it. The twists and turns are crazy. And
Mhm.
Justin Long plays such a insane
Douche.
character. Does a
Fuck
great
yeah.
job.
Damn.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
he really does make you hate him. He does.
Yeah,
He
he's
does a
great.
good job at
He's
doing
one of my
that,
favorite
yeah.
actors of all time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For weeks after watching this movie, I was just like, man, fuck Justin Long. I was so mad at him after
like-
watching this movie. Like,
Right when you think
Did a good
like,
job.
he feels sorry for the bad things that
Yeah.
he's done, like he does it again.
right back. Just when I start to forgive you, man, you push me right back to it. So,
For sure.
how about you, Cody? What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Terrifier 2. And I'm not a real big fan of the first one. You know, I like it. It's fine. But when it came out, it felt like everybody was like, new horror icon, new greatest thing ever. And I was like, slow the fuck down. Hang on. And I've seen it a number of times. And the first one to me is like a proof of concept more than it is a movie. It's like, here's this badass killer. Look how cool he looks. Look how awesome these special effects are. We got no story. Our characters suck, but have a good time. And it's solid. But I walked into Terrifier 2 with that as my base, knowing that it was over 2 hours long, knowing that it had been in production for like 3 years, and I was just as cynical as you could be. I was like, okay, well, it's going to be cool to see it in the festival with Damien Leone and everybody, and I got to see it in the theater with them. They were 10
Nice.
feet in front of me, Howard or Art the Clown, 10 feet in front of me watching the movie.
Mhm.
And I saw it in the best possible way at a film festival with the cast and crew at midnight with a bunch of people at a film festival there to see people get fucked up for 2 hours. And I was shocked at how much I really liked this sequel. To me, it addressed pretty much all of my issues of the first film. There is a genuine, really good attempt at story here and building some lore. The characters like Sienna, I was like, damn, she's fucking awesome. And so the journey that she goes on, it's kind of her movie, where the first one was Art's movie. I enjoyed Art so much more. The kills, like it's so graphic and mean and depraved to the point where it kind of loops past like offensive and comes back around to being like uncomfortably hilarious. Like you're like laughing at how graphic it is, even though it's horrific.
Mhm.
And it was so much fun to watch it with my buddy Sean too, because he likes horror movies and he can take gore and everything, but he's also got he's got a limit. And so during that bedroom scene, like, you know, for those that haven't seen it, there's a kill in this movie that feels like it goes on for like a half hour.
Mhm.
And we're watching it. And after the second time you think that it's over and it's not over, I just started to see in my peripherals and I looked over at him and it was like somebody was blowing sand in his face. He was like, oh, and
That's hilarious.
so
that's great.
the movie is too long, but
Yeah.
I view it as like a Zack Snyder's Justice League. It was a crowd-funded thing that he did for the fans. So he was just like, fuck it, put it all in there.
Mhm.
The frustration that I have is that after 2 hours and 10 minutes, whatever it is, it doesn't really come to much of a conclusion. It teases a bunch of things. It sets up a bunch of things. It, gives you hints at where things are going to go, and you don't really get any answers. So you walk into this movie with questions, you walk out with even more. And so that frustrates me when it's a really long movie and I don't get answers. But other than that, I watched it once again with a watch along with a couple of friends after the film festival. And I just think it's genuinely a really great sequel that it made me a believer, where I'm like, okay, all right, art's the new horror icon. I'm on board. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Well, we can't wait for the third one,
I
man.
know.
Yeah.
And
I'm
so
glad
my
to see
number
the movie
five-
make so much success too. Like it's been the
Yeah.
coolest story all year round. We're just independent little
Yes.
horror film that went through hell to get made, and they put it out in a little few many theaters, and then the word of mouth just made it more theaters, and then like she said, 10 million or whatever it made. It's just like fuck yes.
And on its budget, that it had to have broken records set by like Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity. Like it had to, because you got to figure like those movies also had an advertising budget they had to dip into. Terrifier 2, like you said, it was all word of mouth. That's all they had was word of mouth, and it did wonders for this movie. So it was pretty intense.
Yeah,
for sure.
My number 5 was talked about as an honorable mention, and I do strongly believe this is a horror movie, and that is Prey. I think it was beautifully shot. I think the worst thing about this movie is the fact that we had to watch it on an iPad and not in a movie theater. I would have loved to have taken this to go, on a whole cinema with a whole group of people. I think it would have been great.
Yeah.
And we got very educated. Our good friend of ours, Joey Clift, we did an interview with him, who he is Native American as well. And he was telling us about, a lot of the backstory about how everybody that was hired on this movie was of Native descent. This wasn't like they just had one person there that was like, ooh, too much, too offensive, and they actually have a version of this movie in that Native language. You can watch it dubbed with that language over top. And they wanted to make this as genuine as they possibly could to Native culture. They didn't want this to be a, we're doing this to try to get in with the woke people, which is the stupidest fucking word of all time. They wanted to make it genuine, make it real. And I thought that was super special. And Amber Midthunder was just fucking fantastic in this movie.
Badass.
And we had some really cool throwbacks, if it bleeds, we can kill it. I literally in our motel room was like, yes, he said it, so cool things like that. And I thought, the ingenuity of her and, her drive to want, this is what I want to do. Why don't you just stay here with us women? No, I'm a hunter. And I will prove to you. And her ingenuity of the hatchet on the string and just the many things that she did to outsmart this predator. And I like the Predator's look in this movie, how, he doesn't look as advanced technology wise as he does in the first Predator film, even though that was 30 years ago. Yeah, he's got the bone instead of the metal. Like, I think that he looks really, really good in this film. So, I loved it. I loved Prey so much that it's halfway through my list. It's number 5. So before we get into number 4, I want to say again to everybody in the chat, thank you for being here. Keep going. I love reading what you guys are saying. You guys are making me laugh. You guys are making me smile. It's a great time. And I'm glad that you guys are spending your Friday night here instead of watching blue animals on a screen. So we're up to number 4.
3 hours and 10 fucking minutes.
I heard 3 hours and 10 minutes. And I was like,
shit.
when I heard 3 hours and 10 minutes, the first thing that popped in my head was, I have kids. What the fuck is 3 hours and 10 minutes?
Right?
I didn't even know that existed anymore.
It does.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. I mean, I'm
Actually,
lucky
I don't think I shared my number 5.
You didn't?
No, I don't think so.
Damn,
no,
I'm
my
a
number 5
douchebag.
was
I think
Barbarian, though. It was the same as
Oh.
Salise's.
He sucks.
I suck. I'm a douchebag.
That's okay.
Canceled.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to contribute that like hasn't been said about Barbarian, but yeah.
That's me being canceled, not you. I'm a dick.
I know. But yeah, no, I don't really have anything else to contribute with it, so it's okay. We can move on.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I don't know how the fuck I did that.
Okay.
But
worry,
yeah,
Paul, it's about
Predator.
predators.
It's okay.
right.
Don't worry
I got all
about it.
excited about Predator. So you want to give us your number 4, Celise?
Yes, my number 4 is Pearl. I feel like everyone said what needed to be said. Mia Goth, I think this is like really her fucking moment. This is definitely a very performance-driven piece. I'm a sucker for that. And again, I think just Ty West is really great at building this world. The movie is so beautiful. I feel like I'm saying that about all these movies, but like it really is fucking gorgeous. I mean, the Wizard of Oz vibes and just like the Technicolor vibes, and it's just so fun.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Cody, you can give your number 4.
My number 4 is also Pearl. So that's a good little moment there.
Yes.
Yeah. Now we haven't talked about X yet on my list. We will continue to do that in here in a little bit, but just overall with this new franchise, you can call it now, it's just been one of the coolest surprises in horror. This movie comes out of nowhere. All of a sudden, you get a sequel within the same year. When does that happen? Both of them are amazing. When does that happen? And so, what I loved about Pearl is that it's such a different movie than X. Like, you kind of know what you're going into to a degree, but it has such a different experience in store for you. Like everybody said ad nauseum, Mia Goth is she's the reason you watch it. She's what you're talking about whenever you leave. But what really was effective for me with Pearl is that, you know, it takes a little bit for the carnage to get going. It's not quite as in your face. It's not quite as mile a minute as X was. But when things start to take a turn, whenever things start to go dark with her character, it's so unnerving. Like the scene where she gets the little projectionist that she's been having the little fling with, and he's hanging out with her, and he's starting to realize things are a little bit off, and very slowly her demeanor changes around him. And you get to that scene in the barn where he's like, "All right, well, it's been awesome. I'm gonna go. I got to go work. What did I do?
Oh my God, that's the best scene."
And for any guy that has been for any guy that has been around a female that has that reaction, or it's like, what did I do wrong? You're like,
nothing. I gotta go.
I gotta poop. I just gotta poop really bad.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't have a dog, so I gotta go.
You don't have a dog.
You have that scene, which is very unnerving because it's just so silently creepy, where you're just like, what the fuck is she about to do?
Yeah.
Run, motherfucker, run.
Yes.
And then you get later on after that amazing one-shot scene. And I was the same way, Ken. I was almost like counting the seconds. I'm like, it's been 3 fucking minutes. It's been 3.5 minutes. She hasn't even blinked. And so you have that, and then that really, again, quiet scene where the blonde's like, okay, well, I'll see you later, and goes to leave and goes to walk, and you see Mia Goth just in the distance. And she just casually goes over and picks up an axe, and just from that moment, you're just like, run! And so it's those moments that I love in Pearl, because it's just, like I said, such a different experience than X, but it does nothing but enrich what X is. And I'll talk more whenever we get to another movie, but yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, a big thing that you just said too, that I started to touch on a little bit, but you could almost make the assessment that the projectionist is just something in her head, a figment of her imagination. And Ending Explained, why can't I think of his name? He Found Flicks. He talked about that in his episode on Pearl, and the way that he described it made a lot of sense about how the projectionist could be a figment of her imagination, because he's always just saying what she wants to hear, and until that ending part.
He wanted to get in our pants, like,
I know, but I mean, up until that last part when he's finally like, you want.
Right,
I gotta go now. So Kylie, before we get to you, I'm not skipping you. Our buddy Steve Excelsior. Halloween Ends and Men are 2 of the more disappointing movies I've watched in 2022. Now, Celise, I know Men has to be towards the top of your list, so we won't talk much about it now, because I know that we'll get to Men. I know how much you enjoyed that film.
Yeah, it spoke to me, really.
Yeah, it spoke to me. It was a masterpiece, like a masterpiece of shit. So,
just like, I love when men try to tell me what women's experience is like. I love that. Yeah,
I mean, who knows better than a man what your experience is? I mean,
I love when a movie tries to tell me.
Fuck that movie.
So if you guys haven't caught this sarcasm, Kylie, you want to give us your number 4?
Did you say me?
4. Yeah.
4. Yep.
Okay, my number 4 was Hatching. This is a Finnish
Oh, that
horror
movie.
movie.
Fucking weird,
So
man.
weird.
So weird, but yeah, that movie I felt like really, I don't know, kind of spoke to my experience, and also I was in gymnastics when I was a kid. And yeah, I get my mother is nothing like that. I love my mother to death, but like I do really like empathize with the whole like overbearing mother that like expects a lot from you kind of a thing. And so that movie really spoke to me. I thought it was gorgeous. The direction was so good. The coloring and everything of it, and also the fact I think that it's shot in Finland, which is very, very high up in like the northern hemisphere. So the lighting is just really, it feels like another world almost, because I think they shot it during summertime. So there's just constantly like very, the lighting is, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just the whole movie has this really kind of off-putting vibe, even if nothing off-putting is going on. You know what I mean? So it's just like it's just drenched in style, and it's super, super weird. But you know, given that, it's also like one of the most unique things I think I've ever seen. So yeah, I loved Hatching.
Yeah.
It was definitely weird, and there's definitely points throughout that movie, like you were talking about the mother. Ugh.
Yeah, she's pretty despicable.
Yeah, she's just fucking
Yeah,
outrageous.
there's not enough like mommy vlogger horror. That is such an untapped, like there's so much potential there to explore that, because it is a horrifying thing, like family channels and like exploiting your children and stuff. You know, versus like what they project and what's behind the scenes. It's a lot. I think there should be more horror movies about that.
Right, because that is the true horror.
Yeah.
That's real life horror that we can actually identify with. So I completely agree with you there. My number 4 is the reason I had to change my whole list around. We were able to get a screener for a movie called The Harbinger, and this movie blew me away. We all know, sometimes we get these screeners and we watch them and we're like, yeah, it was cute. You know, you did a good job. This movie scared me. Like it genuinely really did scare me. The idea of death isn't that bad. You know, when I die, I'll get to kick it with my mom on whatever plane of existence we're on then, and that'll be dope. But the idea of being completely erased, like you never existed at all, that's terrifying to me. Like I said, I have 3 kids. My wife wouldn't be the person she is right now if I had never existed, which I don't know if that's good or bad. But
I don't know either.
And you watch these characters and the Harbinger itself and what it does to people, and it takes them completely away. And it has one of the sadder endings I can remember seeing in a very long time. So it's just one of those things where it was heartbreaking. It was scary. There was a lot of adrenaline, a lot of anxiety to go along with it. And and it all takes place during the big C word. So just living through that. And for those of you that don't know, my wife is a respiratory therapist. So that's something we've always taken very, very seriously. It's something that we still continue to take very, very seriously. So to watch these people that are going through all this stuff while in the setting of a horror movie was really good. And there's been a couple of those pandemic movies where you're just trying to capitalize on what we all just went through. This one didn't feel like that. It feels like it was written in afterwards to kind of up the ante a little bit because of how they had to film. So I'm going to give The Harbinger my number 4. And like I said, I had to rearrange my whole list after watching it because it really affected me that much. It scared me that much. So number 4, The Harbinger 2022.
So funny enough, mine is also The Harbinger. Yeah. I rearranged my list for this one too. For the same thing. Like it takes you back to like when you were in the pandemic and you were isolated and you can't see your family and your friends, and just like, the feeling of being trapped with him. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. She was like, you should start a YouTube channel and talk to people about their first horror movie so you can get the fuck away from me.
And that's exactly what he did, right? But yeah, how you talked about how you don't just die, but you're completely erased. That's a very scary thought. And just the way that like the Harbinger like messes with your mind. And this movie almost you wonder, like, is it in her mind, or like, is this really happening? So I like psychological movies like that, where you don't know if it's really happening, or if she's just like dreaming about all this stuff. So yeah, it was really good and terrifying, and like in a different way, not like jump scares and stuff like that, but like really like in your head terrifying. So,
and there's a couple moments in this movie that you're watching it and you're like, wait a minute, I thought this was going to go.
It could have gone either way.
It shocks you in the way that it doesn't do what you think it's going to do.
Right.
So
yeah,
I gotta give it up for that.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we get into who usually went. So before we get into Salise's, Salise started this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Before Cody gives us his number 3, I watched The Harbinger, and boy, I had never been creeped out in my life. A couple great jump scares, but very thought provoking to me as well.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. Like, this movie is not just like jump scares.
It's not cheap jump scares. No. It's like it's in your head. Like, horror.
Don't get me wrong. It's not a perfect movie. There's some really bad looking CGI.
Yeah.
But overall, it's very practical, done very well. So we did enjoy it.
And some of the cinematography is really beautiful too. Like when they're out in the woods.
Yes.
Yeah.
We all dig Sweet and Spooky's ears. I tell her the only way that she's welcome here is if she has her ears on. That's it. That's the only way we allow her here. To the panel, they are all amazing. I love you all. We love you too, and thank you so much for the donation. It means a lot. I ain't too crazy about horror movies nowadays, which is fair. You've got to find that perfect balance for yourself.
This is the year to get back into them.
Yeah, for sure.
I did put the trailer for The Harbinger in the chat, so if you guys haven't seen it, make sure you're checking it out. I've seen a lot of people saying that they have not even heard of it, so make sure you're checking it out. It is out on Amazon Prime now, so I think you guys will really dig it if you haven't seen it yet. So Cody, you want to get us started with your number 3?
My number 3 is The Black Phone. It was for most of the year, it was actually my most anticipated horror film. Everybody hated that it wasn't Halloween Ends, but I'm like, hey, this looked better. Sorry. I've always really enjoyed Sinister, but I never found it as good as a lot of other people. I felt like the trailer destroyed that movie for me because it was the movie in 2 minutes. But I always liked what Scott Derrickson did with it, and I liked the writing, the story of it that C. Robert Cargill brought to it. So the fact that they were teaming up again outside of Doctor Strange really intrigued me. I adore Ethan Hawke, one of my favorite actors, and I loved seeing the fact that he was going to play a villain. And it was one of those movies where I've gotten to where, because of Sinister, actually, that was the movie that broke me to where a lot of times with horror films now, I won't watch the trailer. So I don't remember what movie I was in, but it started to play the trailer for The Black Phone. And I think I saw like 30 seconds of it, and I got enough. I was like, okay, Ethan Hawke's, okay, I got to go. And I just went out of the theater so that I wouldn't see or hear anything. And I got a chance to go check this out like a week and a half early. It was playing in Jacksonville, which was a 2-hour drive. And I was like, oh, do I want to drive 4 hours for a movie?
Right.
Fuck it. Yeah. And so I went, and luckily it was very worth the trip. I think it was just genuinely a great story. Really well-written story, taken from a short of, I believe it was Stephen King's son, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that the direction was really nice. I had some of that Sinister flavor to it, but I preferred this one. Thought Ethan Hawke fucking killed it. I think he was his role as the grabber, to me, even on my thumbnail for my original review, I put instantly iconic. The mask that Tom Savini made was cool as hell. Just the journey that this kid went on, trying to learn throughout the perishing of the other kids what to do, was just a really cool thing to go on. His sister in that movie is like my spirit animal. I loved her. The way that she was unbelievable in her acting, but I just loved her attitude. She was great. So I had a really good time with that one. I've watched it a couple times since. Just one of my favorite stories that I've experienced this year for sure.
Yeah.
100%. And you're right, Madeline McGraw, so good. But she has the vodka. You know, I'm like, oh, please don't do it, because I know.
I just loved when her brother was getting pounded, and she's like, "Motherfuckers!" and comes in with the thing. I was like, yes, she's great.
Yeah.
When she's talking to the detectives in the office, she's like, "You're right. I'm the grabber. You fucking fart knockers." So, how about you, Kylie? What's your bronze medal? Your number 3?
My number 3 is Prey. I feel like you shared most of my thoughts already. It just like what a refreshing atmosphere, and not being able to rely on technology. And I think when you take away like any modern crutch, you have to get creative. And boy, did they get creative! I thought it was just like just so creative. I don't know what else I can say about it. You really like spelled out all my thoughts for me already. So I just agree with everything you said.
I really hope
Copy and paste.
Yeah.
I hope a couple other franchises learn the lesson that Prey teaches, which is that bigger isn't always better. Sometimes you can have the best movie for a medium-sized budget. Like Terminator is the one where I'm like, stop making bigger, go back to basics.
Yeah. Go back to just being a regular slasher. Yes. The Terminator
slasher.
is a slasher.
Bitches.
I will die on that hill, man.
I'll die right there with you.
So my number 3 was just talked about, and that is The Black Phone. And 3 months ago, I probably would have said this was my favorite of the year. When we watched it for the first time, I was like, yeah, this was amazing. And you pretty much just talked about all the positives, and even like a lot of the ways how Sinister did a lot of their, flashback scenes. And they did it with the genuine 16 mil. I think they did a lot of that with this. Like when you go back to the pinball flashback, they look really, really good.
They did an amazing job at capturing that 70s vibe too.
Yeah,
yes.
for sure.
And I think it's so funny because I think it was me and you that had this conversation, Cody. But we had people hitting us up like, oh, The Black Phone wasn't that great. I didn't see the kids get beaten or raped. And it's like, oh, it's good to know that's where your brain goes.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Like, I'm sorry you didn't see a little boy get beat up and raped. But this
I don't remember how it was phrased, but yeah, I remember seeing that comment. It was like, it wasn't that crazy. I mean, this didn't happen. I'm like, what the fuck kind of benchmark
Is the implication not enough? It should be.
Right.
Yeah.
It should be.
He was, I know, I guess we don't understand this now, but he was breaking that kid psychologically. Like when he brings him the food and he's like, what'd you put in that? And he's like, salt and pepper. He does that little laugh. Like, and he even tells him, he's like, I've already got you here. Why do I have to poison you? And it's little things like that where it's like, God, this, and it's a little boy. We got to remember how we all felt when we were, 11, 12, 13. We don't have the brains that we do now to try to work around and try to make sense of what's happening because 11, 12, 13-year-old hasn't matured that much yet. And even little things about this movie, like obviously me being a very, very big baseball fan, like your arm is mint. You almost had me. Like when he said that again on the phone, I was like, oh, that's so dope. Like there was just so much about this movie that I remember as, the boomer of the group here. I remember growing up, playing in the streets, playing baseball. And it was just such an amazing time, like growing up in that era. Like we had our literal own sand lot in our backyard at my uncle's house.
You didn't grow up in the 70s.
I know I didn't, but I'm saying like
You're not even a boomer.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you've been married for 17 years and have 3 kids. You feel a lot older than you are. But you're great, babe. So yeah, my number 3 is going to be The Black Phone. What about you, my love?
My number 3 is X. This has pretty much been talked about. I love how it was something new. We got something new. And I've already talked about Mia Goth, but I freaking love her. She absolutely did awesome in this film. And I also like how it shows that women are completely in control of like their sexuality, and it's okay. Like it's okay for women to be like that. Like back then, like it wasn't okay back in the 70s, like for women to show themselves and stuff like that wasn't okay.
You can be as sexual as you want. Doesn't bother me.
Can I? Thanks for the permission.
She doesn't need your permission, yeah.
That's the whole thing I'm saying. Like, I don't need your permission, buddy. No. No, I really enjoyed the movie. Yeah. Like you said, we got to go see it with a friend, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah.
Definitely a cherished memory. So awesome. How about you, Celeste? What's your bronze medal here?
My number 3 is Smile. That may be a shocker to some people. Hopefully I don't get the cancel button. This film really I'm excited. This film surprised me because I feel like the trailer, they make you think it's going to be something that it's not.
Yeah.
And this film, it just it spoke to me. The immediate sense of dread that Parker Finn builds up, and just like how unnerving the sound design really makes you nervous. And Ashley described the atmosphere really great. But I also think just like Sosie Bacon's performance and also her character, like the daughter and the mother dynamic, that was hitting a little too close to home for me. So I think the film just really spoke to me.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it.
It definitely took us all by surprise. I
Yeah.
think that's a consensus that we can all make, is it definitely wasn't what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, for sure.
So I do want to say real quick, we do have new Sledgehammer horror merchandise. We have coffee cups, beanies, baseball caps, t-shirts, a Ken Sledge strip tees, OnlyFans style. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure you're clicking the link down here. I'm just kidding. OnlyFans pays me not to have a page. So yeah,
You're so mean to yourself, Ken.
Yeah, like love yourself. This whole time you've been talking shit on yourself. What's going on?
I just want you guys listen. Tomorrow morning, right? You wake up, okay? You're doing your morning stretches and shit. And you look in the mirror, right?
And it's Tomness. We get it.
Yeah, you've said it.
or you could even go with high school Ken.
It's not bad. Stop.
Wait, do you have pink highlights?
Kind of.
There's a good chance I do. Okay.
He's got pink highlights and girl jeans on.
There's a good chance I had frosted tips before that.
He
Okay.
did. He
And
totally
Backstreet
did.
was back.
And
all right.
I was totally
That was
digging.
in style then. Come on.
Yeah.
What can I say? I
do it.
wanted everybody to rock their body. That's all I wanted. So, guys, we are up to number 2. That'll be me starting us off. This is a movie that I am so fucking upset with the announcement that we will not be getting a physical release of, and it is Barbarian.
Thanks for reminding me.
It crushes me. I would love to get a lot of the behind the scenes of the commentary, especially, is something I think would be really fun to get on this movie. And let's not forget, this movie's filmed in my hometown, baby. So, I got the D there, Detroit. But it's
Hometown
one of
looks
those
like
things where-
shit in this movie.
Yes, I was just gonna say.
It looks so bad. Like, that's the bad side of town. We have a good side.
In every horror movie, or even RoboCop, which I do consider a sci-fi horror, Detroit
it looks like shit. Yeah. Everyone's like, fuck Detroit.
I
We're never going
promise
there.
you, if you guys ever want to come to Detroit, I'll take you to downtown. We got a place you can stay. It's got a really nice basement that goes down a little hallway. It's really nice. You guys can check it out and stay for a weekend. But
no hairy nipples. Oh, well, maybe.
Depends on what you're into. But it's just one of these things where I went into this movie completely blind. I saw that it had Bill Skarsgård. I saw that it had Justin Long. And I was like, I don't want to know anything else about it. Let's just go check it out. I knew it was filmed in Detroit. And we went and we watched it. And I literally throughout the whole movie was like, what is going on? What is going on? And we finally get to the point to where you really see the crux of what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie touches on so many things that true life horror, with sex trafficking, racial profiling with police. It's just so many different things that this movie touches on that is real life horror. And I left this movie appreciating Justin Long more than I ever had before. I've always been a fan of Justin Long. I've always liked him, but I really appreciated him after watching this movie because he made me hate him with every fiber of my being, and then start to, okay, he's starting to come around. No, I fucking hate him. No, that's it. It's sealed. I hate him. So his performance in this movie was very on point. So yeah, I'm gonna say Barbarian is my number 2, and it genuinely surprised me. And the first thing I thought when I got to the car was, man, I can't wait to watch this again at my house on my Blu-ray and see all the special features. And then Disney just shit all over my dreams. So
yeah,
thanks, Mickey Mouse.
It's Mickey Mouse's fault.
So yeah, you dumb mouse.
I forgot to say earlier too, because it was my number 5, but I think it's like basically the antithesis to Men, where like the director is still a dude, but he had like read this book where I don't know, I think he's like in his late 30s or early 40s or something, Zach Krager, and he just talked about how he learned that he exists in a completely different psychological landscape to women, and that read so well in the movie. Like, I felt so seen by Barbarian too. It's just got a lot of layers to it. It's an excellent film.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I did want to say, you're talking about Zach Krieger. He was one of the troupe of the whitest kids you know.
Yeah.
Like the guy that wrote the guy that wrote The Grapist.
The Grapist.
Wrote Barbarian. Like, let that sink in for a minute. Like, it's just so fucking crazy.
That's again where like comedy and horror,
comedy and horror are perfect
yeah.
because it's all about timing. If your jokes don't have the right timing, no one's gonna laugh. If your scares don't have the right timing, no one's gonna be scared. It's all about timing when it comes to comedy and horror. That's why guys like Zach Krieger, Jordan Peele, I feel like they can make great horror movies because they know the difference between horror and comedy and great timing that goes along with all of it. So
build up and chaos.
Yeah.
Yep. So what about you, my love? What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Prey. So I
knew it was gonna be up there.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm not the biggest fan of Predator, so I didn't think that I know. I'm sorry. I didn't think I went into this like, yeah, I'm gonna watch it, but I didn't have any high expectations for it at all. And I loved it. Like you talked about, the cinematography is beautiful. Amber Midthunder is just a badass, and like she builds herself up, like instead of like right away being able to like kill something, like she shows us how like she has, you know, gotten better and tries new things and stuff like that. So she did amazing. And she says one of my favorite lines where it's like, oh shit, what does she say? Something about not being a threat.
Yeah, she's like, he doesn't see me as a threat, which is what makes me so much more dangerous.
I love that line so much. And like her relationship with her brother, I think that it feels genuine, and I really enjoyed the movie. I've seen it a couple of times since it's come out, and I like it a lot. So yeah, that's my number 2.
Celeste, before we get to you real quick, thank you so much, Will Meister, for your donation. It means a lot to us. Speaking of Barbarian and commentaries, that was the scariest part for me. I like that movie, but I don't think I like the fact that I like that movie. I get what you mean.
It's messed up.
I completely get what you mean. And yes, the Abe Lincoln sketch is so damn funny. If you guys haven't seen The Whitest Kid You Know, the Abraham Lincoln sketch, shit, it's so funny. So funny. What you want, you fat motherfucker? God, watch it. Please, for the love of everything holy, watch the Abraham Lincoln sketch by The Whitest Kid You Know. So we are up to Celeste at your number 2.
My number 2 is Terrifier 2 for basically all the reasons that Cody said. This really is like Sienna's movie. I really wanted a final girl, and especially a final girl to relate to. And I feel like the first film, it misses that because it's definitely more of like an Art the Clown showcase. And this one was just, I mean, the effects are incredible, and like Damien Leone did all of that. Like he edited this movie. I mean, he did everything, which is incredible. And I mean, they had no marketing, and to make this much money is crazy. And I'm so excited for 3.
Yeah, can't wait. I'm really hoping we get more of the little pale girl.
Yeah, she was awesome.
For those of you that know, obviously Amelie McLean is a good friend of ours. She plays the little pale girl. We've been friends with her and her mother for a very long time, but I am so proud of that young lady for everything. You know, she's been in General Hospital. She was in the movie Transference. Now she's doing this. And obviously we can't get too deep into things, but we're very proud of her. You know, she's very, very intelligent. She's very hardworking. And she definitely is still doing school and all that stuff, which, you know, you're doing fucking Terrifier 2, and then you got to go back to, you know,
boring old school
Mrs. Bloom's health class in third hour.
It's
but
insane.
I'm very proud of her, and I can't wait for you guys to see what she has coming up here in the next couple of years. It's pretty incredible. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to Amelie, because she's an amazing young lady that we're super, super proud of. And we met her through Transference, the first movie she did, and we've just been really, really good friends with her ever since. So it's been a lot of fun. So what about we're at Cody for number 2?
Number 2 for me is Barbarian. Both of my top 2 are movies that came out of absolutely nowhere for me. Barbarian is one of those films that I did not watch a trailer. I didn't read a plot synopsis. I didn't talk about it with anybody. I just heard a little bit of the buzz and said, okay, I'm going to go check it out. And that movie takes you on the wildest ride of 2022 because at least twice in the movie, I kind of liken it to where you're listening to a record and somebody comes up and just drops the needle on a different record. And you're like, what the fuck? What happened here? Like twice in the movie, it does that where you're like, I have no idea where we're going.
Yeah.
And it's so refreshing. Like Ken said earlier with Scream, I'm not trying to pat myself in the back, but when you watch enough movies, you start to see everything coming. So very rarely can you be surprised. There was nothing in Barbarian that I saw coming. There was so many points where I thought I did. I'm like, I mean, obviously it's going to, this guy is probably a creep and it's going to be like a torture chamber. And I see where you're going with this. Oh, nope. Don't see where you're going with this. It's gnarly. It's crazy. It's disturbing. It does social commentary right, which is where it's there if you want it. And if you don't, you can skip over it completely and still get everything the movie is bringing to you. Speaking on Justin Long, I loved how the movie challenged what you thought about him at least 4 or 5 times, and you just kept going back and forth. Like, when you first get information about him, you're like, oh, that situation kind of sucks for him. And then you get a little more information. You're like, oh, fuck this guy. And then you get a little bit more. Oh, okay, well, he's learning. You get a little bit more. Oh, no, fuck this guy. And you just keep going back and forth. And it takes good writing and an actor like him to be able to do that well. And I will say this. I saw the trailer after the movie because I was using it to edit my review or whatever. People who make trailers, because I know you're watching, make trailers like that, you fuck.
Yeah, for sure.
You have no clue what's happening throughout that whole movie.
No, they take the first, 15 minutes of the movie and they cut a trailer together. Just enough to get your ass in the seat. That's what a trailer's supposed to do, people.
Right.
So, I miss the days where you could walk into a movie blind. I feel like Blumhouse has destroyed it, where they're like, here's the movie in 2 minutes. Here's the ending. Here's third act shit throughout the entire last half of the trailer. So, it was one of the most refreshing things where I walked out of that movie and everybody that I know that's a horror fan, I'm like, go see it now. Don't look up anything. Close your phone, go see it. And it's awesome. And so where the fuck's the Blu-ray? It's bullshit.
It's super bullshit. I just want to say real quick, guys, I know you just see me on my phone. I usually try to stay off my phone when this happens, but it's been blowing up. The TV show that I'm in, St. Gabriel, it just dropped. It's on Tubi. And so if you guys get the chance, I put it in the chat. The TV show I was a part of, Ashley's in it as well. So now that we could talk about it a little bit, I just want to give this little story real quick. We went to film. We drove down to Columbus, Ohio to film. And we get there and we're getting everything set up. They're like, oh, we don't know if we're going to be able to shoot tonight. One of the actresses didn't show up. We're trying to get a hold of the agency. I was like, Ashley will do it.
I was like,
she was like, no. I was like, you'll be fine.
I was like, no, I'm not.
So they literally gave her script, put her in costume, and she went out and fucking killed it, man. So you killed it. You guys killed it. So if you get the chance, it's on Tubi. It's free. St. Gabriel Volume 2 is out now. So when you guys get a chance, check it out. I did put the link in there. I will have it all over social media. Like I said, I respect your guys' time. So that's why I don't like to be on my phone when we're doing these things. But I kept seeing it was blowing up by these guys that did this. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? That's why I had to check it. But it is live. So I'm super stoked. I hope you guys get the chance to check it out. And I hope you dig it. So Kylie, you want to give us your number 2?
My number 2 is The Menu. I adore that film so much. I love all the actors in it so much. Because I feel like there are so many films, I feel like especially this year, even in just like the last couple months, where Parasite definitely started the like fuck the rich, eat the rich kind of trend. It's not that it wasn't around before, but it's like really at the forefront right now. And so a lot of movies like I feel like they don't quite get, why Parasite was so good. I feel like The Menu does, because it targets a really niche thing, but it still is really broad commentary that's like applicable to a lot of different things. So the fact that it's targeting like, food critic, like upper class food critic culture, I think is hilarious. All the stereotypes they depicted in this movie are top notch. They're fantastic. I thought it was so well done. And also for me, it was also, not only was the movie like fantastic, so entertaining and everything, so like layered and so much to get from it, but also like doing my review and looking into it and watching all the interviews, all the behind the scenes, the way they made this movie, how these actors were working all 12 hours a day. Really, it was almost like a theater production, and so I just imagine it was really grueling. But yeah, what they did was so worth it, and it's just really fascinating. A very, very unique movie, especially in the way it was made. And God, Anya Taylor-Joy and Ray Fiennes and Nicholas Hoult and John Leguizamo, and God, what a cast! What a movie!
That's a huge cast for that movie.
God, yeah.
That was another one that I walked into completely blind, and it
nice.
was such an awesome surprise. All my friend told, he's like, it's about food, you'll like it, because I'm a big cook and everything like that. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll watch a little food movie, and for the first 30 minutes, that's what it is. It's just a satire, and then something happens with the assistant head chef, and I was like, what the fuck movie is this? And just sat up. Has everybody seen the menu? All four of us?
I have not.
You have not?
We have not got to see it yet.
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Well, only two of us will appreciate this. So at the Fantastic Fest screening, during the last 15 minutes of the movie, waiters just in the dark started putting these little platters in front of you, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And you look down and they served us all s'mores.
S'mores. Oh. Watch the movie, you'll get it.
Yeah, I got it. It's a movie. We've seen the trailer for it, and I knew I wanted to check it out because Anya Taylor-Joy, obviously we love her, and the suspense of what is happening on this. It's on a boat, right?
No, it's just like in a private island.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that they were like confined to a certain area, so I'm very, very excited to check it out. It gave me a Deadliest Game type
a little bit
vibe,
a little bit.
So yeah. I'm very stoked to see it. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen that. Bill, what's up, buddy? So okay, we are now up to our number one. Now, again, remember what maybe someone's honorable mention, maybe the top of someone's list. So let's remember that. You want to give us your honorable mentions all the way up to number one, my love?
Yeah, so my honorable mentions were Pearl and Scream 5. 10 was Barbarian. 9 was Terrifier 2. 8 was Nope. 7 was Smile. 6 was Orphan First Kills. 5 was Hocus Pocus 2. 4, The Harbinger. 3, X. 2, Prey. And my number 1 was Black Phone. I enjoyed this movie from start to finish. I thought all the kid actors were phenomenal in it. Especially Finn and his sister.
Yeah.
I let their brother and sister relationship. Excuse me, I can't speak. It felt genuine. Also, there was a couple of scenes like with the dad where I kind of had to like turn my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like a tragic like growing up story, and
which is even funnier because that guy is such a sweetheart in real life.
Yeah, for sure. But like just that scene, like it made me turn my head. I'm like, fuck them kids a lot, but that I was like,
Yeah, I'm like, fuck them kids when I don't gotta watch it. Like, if they can just get hit by a car so it's quick and I don't have to watch it, that's cool.
Just not the screaming.
When I gotta hear them screaming and then I start having PTSD about kids screaming and all that shit, fuck it, stupid kids, get out of here.
Yeah. So, and Ethan Hawke, he was so creepy and just did a phenomenal job for sure. So, I really liked the movie. Like it was suspenseful, and it was kind of like you get what you're seeing. Like there was no twist really. So, and there was a jump scene in it that almost made me poop my pants.
Almost.
Yeah.
It made me poop my pants because of how much you made me poop
I know.
my pants.
I intensify jump scenes because I scream most of the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So great list, babe.
Thanks.
How about you, Celise?
My honorable mentions were Watcher and Sissy. At 10, I have Scream 5. 9, Orphan First Kill. 8, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. 7, Bones and All. 6, X. 5, Barbarian. 4, Pearl. 3, Smile. 2, Terrifier 2. And at number 1, I have Hatching. I really I feel like this year, so many of these movies are like coming for my life. But again, like the mother-daughter dynamic in this movie is hitting a little too close to home. But also, this movie was just like beautiful. Kylie talked about this, which I was really happy about because I feel like nobody's talking about this movie. Just beautiful, and like the lead actress, she's a star. Like
Mhm.
I just thought she was amazing, and it was really cool use of effects. There was like puppeteering and then some CGI. It was a really cool, unique movie. Very refreshing.
Nice.
And it's one of those movies that as you're watching it, you're like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
going on right now?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's
you're
crazy.
trying to put it all together, but oh man,
Yeah.
it's and I love the realization of when you realize what's been going on, when the family starts to
Yeah.
realize it, you're like, oh, maybe the mom has turned her. No, she's a bitch. No, I hate her and her stupid face. So, how about you, Cody? Can you give us your honorable mentions all the way to number 1?
My honorable mentions. Well, first of all, I need to say I'm proud that nobody had Halloween Ends, even in their honorable mentions.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Sorry, Halloween fans.
I wanted to. I wanted to. Damn it.
We wanted to like it.
Yeah.
Let's just
but-
act like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know?
That's kind of
forget about
how I am. Like forgetting about it. We're not talking about it. Like
Yeah.
no.
Right.
Yeah, I like the movie more than most, but I'm like Haunted Hippie over here. I've had some interesting experiences with that fan base, so anytime I can kind of give this, I enjoy it.
Cody? I didn't know that.
Just a few times. Anyway, honorable mentions. I had Smile, The Menu, and Prey. Number 10 is Orphan First Kill. Number 9 is Hellraiser. Number 8, Scream 5. Number 7, Fresh. Number 6, Bones and All. Number 5, Terrifier 2. Number 4 is Pearl. Number 3, The Black Phone. 2, Barbarian. And number 1 was X. I do not have a good relationship with A24. I feel like most of the time when I walk into those movies, the trailer looks incredible and they show you all the craziest parts and they frame it like it's a different movie than it actually is. And to their credit, their movies are hard to market. But I usually walk in and it's super artsy. It's really slow. And the element that they advertised is like this much of the movie. So when I walked into X, I was like, okay, another A24 movie. I kind of know what I'm getting into here. And I didn't have the best track record with Ty West either. The 2 movies I've seen of him so far, I thought were pretty slow. So I walked into X and it just took me for a ride that I was not expecting. I thought that it was such a cool throwback, old school 70s style slasher. I liked all of like the self-awareness about it. Like, you can make a classy, dirty movie.
Yeah.
The characters are really cool. It took a while to dawn on me. Maybe even after I saw the movie, but I didn't realize that Mia Goth was playing both roles. And that was, again, before I even saw Pearl, I was like, holy shit, I need to keep my eye on her. So she was awesome. Again, Jenna Ortega, another woman who's like, this was her year to just break out into everything.
Oh, for sure.
The kills were really great. It was just a really throwback, dirty slasher movie, but it was, I hate using this word, but it was elevated so much by how Ty West made it. I mean, just the sequence where she's killing the guy that looks like he was in Evil Dead and the blood sprays onto the headlights and it just, shoots the whole scene into red when you got Blue Oyster Cult playing, like just stuff like that. It was just such an artistic, dirty slasher movie that I just loved it. And if it was just a one and done, it probably still would have been my number one, but I adore the fact that this movie came out and then we immediately get a tease for a second film that I expected was at least a year away and we get it the same fucking year.
Didn't they already have it filmed?
Yeah, they filmed them back to back.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was a really cool surprise that this movie was awesome and there's more coming and I don't have to wait on it. And then you see Pearl and you're like, dude, some people liked it more than X. I mean, it was just one of those things where you're like, fuck, they're both right here. And then you get a tease for Maxine and you're like, can we really get a horror trilogy where all 3 movies come out within a year and a half and they're all fucking like 5-star movies? Has that ever happened before? Like, it's just such a cool thing.
I heard that Maxine is it 2024 release now?
Yeah.
Is it?
I think it got pushed back.
I think it got pushed back to 2024.
Okay, well, it's still, it doesn't matter. I could say
I
5
get what
years.
you're saying.
I could say 5 years, but it doesn't matter. Could we get 3
Sure.
5 out of 5 slasher movies back to back? That never happens.
Right.
So
And
yeah,
you were talking about your complicated relationship with A24, and we know that they just signed on for the Camp Crystal Lake prequel series.
so weird.
I am all about having Mia Goth as the young Mrs. Voorhees.
That'd be cool.
I think that would
instantly sell me on it.
so dope,
Yeah.
man. Like I've pushed for years to have a remake with Kathy Bates, but if we're having a younger version, give me Mia Goth as Mrs. Voorhees.
My boy is a star.
You're gonna know his name. He does not accept a life he does not deserve.
There you go.
That's awesome. So, what about you, Kylie? Can you give us your honorable mentions all the way up to number 1?
Yes. Okay. All right. So honorable mentions: The Invitation, Orphan First Kill, Fall, Speak No Evil, Violent Night, and Hocus Pocus 2. Number 10, Who Invited Them? 9, Scream. 8, Christmas Bloody Christmas. 7, Significant Other. 6, Fresh. 5, Barbarian. 4, Hatching. 3, Prey. 2, The Menu. And at number 1, I have Watcher. So yeah, this one just it was another one that was like very deeply personal to me, because if you guys, I feel like not enough people have seen this. But yeah, also Chloe Akuno, it was just announced, I think today, that she's directing the next Fear Street movie. So excited for that. But yeah, so if you guys haven't heard of it, because I feel like not enough people have, it essentially follows this woman, Micah Monroe, again, fantastic, who follows her husband to Romania, because he works there, and yeah, so they end up moving there. And I had dated someone that lived in Poland, and had a lot of German friends there, and I just felt so completely seen. Like it's such a specific experience to like be an American woman and date a European man, and like it nailed it. So I feel like the movie probably spoke to me a bit more than most people, but I can tell you from my lived experiences, completely accurate, like how isolating it can feel. And then also, like, it was the only movie this year that I gave 5 stars. Like I gave it a perfect score, because also the horror in it too was I don't know, again, like I just felt so seen by it. Like she would take things that were so simple, like a handshake, just like such an innocuous thing, and then expand that into like this 5-minute scene, and use like the sound design, the scruffling of the hands, a close-up of it, and just made you so uncomfortable. I thought it was such a beautiful film. It was so effective, and relatable for me. So yeah, number 1.
Well, and I think that's something that we often forget. Like when we talk about how, I love this horror movie or I love that horror movie. Personal experience has a lot to do with how we look at all forms of media.
Absolutely.
So what
I think jokes that are like personal are funnier, to be honest. Like
exactly
anything like that.
So it's not just horror. Like, all media.
For sure.
It's very, very when it gets personal like that, it can definitely make a bigger impact on you. So that's why my list is the way it is. My honorable mentions were The Cursed, 8 for Silver, and Orphan First Kill. Scream 2022 at number 10. Number 9, Terrifier 2. Number 8, Pearl. 7, X. 6, Nope. 5, Prey. 4, The Harbinger. 3, The Black Phone. 2, Barbarian. And number 1 is Smile. This is my favorite movie of the year. The same as you, Cody, and probably the same as the rest of the panel. I went into this thinking we were going to get Truth or Dare Part 2.
Yeah.
That goofy PG-13 style horror. But man, like as someone that's, takes a rainbow assortment of pills every morning, like this is how many pills I take throughout the day to make it so I don't blow my fucking head off. I got excited that Ashley bought me one of those Sunday through Saturday fucking things to put my pills in, so that way I don't lose track and forget to take my medicine. So someone that lives that, and watching the way that this is playing on being manic and anxiety and depression, and seeing what these people go through, and obviously there's a bigger story at play.
Right.
It's not just the manicness, but that's what it scared me about this movie. And there's not many jump scares. Like you get the one at the laptop, which I thought was pretty good, but most of the time it's just genuine. Like she looks in the kitchen and that person's in the kitchen, and you're waiting for something to happen and it never does.
Like
so you're just kind of unsettled.
Like lingers.
And the smiles weren't over the top like the fucking Snapchat filter Truth or Dare stuff. Like it wasn't ridiculous. And we talked about with Terrifier 2 having like little to no marketing. I love the marketing they did for Smile. You know, you had people at baseball games in the crowd doing the smile and the camera would focus on them. Like, that was brilliant to me. I thought that was great. And there was a lot in this movie that, like, we talked a little bit ago about art and how it can mean different things to you if it's you personally. And when you get a story of manic and anxiety and it's passed on from generation to generation, and you see, you know, your mother going through these type of things as a child, and you're scared that this is what's going to happen with you, and then it ends up happening with you, like, that's real life horror to me. And it was one of those things that, watching this movie, I felt like I was watching an autobiography of my life, you know, like, it was scary. The movie genuinely scared me. The thing that holds it back a little bit, there was too many fake out endings. But Sosie Bacon was just great. Like, she was great. The birthday party scene broke my heart. You know, there was just a lot about this movie that I could do a whole, you know, discussion just about Smile. And I think if I would have gone into it more knowing what it was about, maybe it wouldn't have been as high on my list. But because I went into it with such low expectations, and then to see it and be that into it, it just it blew me away. So my number one is Smile. Cody, any update on The Collected?
No.
I didn't think so. We're never gonna get it. I want it so bad, but something we're never gonna get.
Yeah.
So guys, this has been an amazing time. Real quick before we go though, I do want to let everybody know that next week, Thursday, we're going to be live with Nightmare Junkhead, and we're going to be counting down our top 10 most anticipated horror movies of 2023.
Which there's a lot. There's a lot.
And it's hard to do most anticipated because obviously unless it's a sequel or a remake, you know, you don't know much about it, but there are a couple I have that I think, I mean, who's not excited for Billy Bonka and the Fudge Facility? I mean, who's not excited for that?
Or what's the poo one?
Blood and Honey.
Blood and Honey.
And I'm not kidding.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited for that. I don't care.
It
may be cheesy, but
if you guys don't believe me, next year, not only are we getting Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, but we're getting Billy Bonka and the Fudge Facility. So be ready for those.
Yeah.
Silly, Sweet and Spooky, can you tell us anything you have coming up on your channel?
Sure. Right now I'm still deep in Jalo. I have a review coming of The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward soon. And tomorrow I will be doing a Christmas live stream with my patrons. So you can come through and hang out with us. We're going to be talking holiday horror and our most anticipated horror films for 2023.
Nice.
Awesome. What about you, Cody?
Just dropped my review for Avatar 2 today, and so I'll be ranking all of Cameron's films probably on Sunday. That's the most one that's coming up soon. Next week, I'm also going to be ranking all of the horror films that I saw in 2022. I don't have a day for it because there's still about 3 or 4 I want to get through really quick. And then a couple more ideas. Just depends on how busy I get. I don't want to say too much. I wanted to do a Silent Night, Deadly Night review series, and then I watched Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, and I was like, I don't think I have the strength for this. So I don't know if I'm going to do
Garbage day.
That scene was great, but I was watching
that
it.
Tweet made me laugh, dude.
Look,
like I knew exactly how you felt.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I should rewatch the first film just so I could refamiliarize with the plot. And then I watched the second one. I was like, oh no, they did it for me. The first 45 fucking minutes is the recap.
Right.
So that may or may not happen, but the whole last week and probably through the first week of 2023 is just going to be all the end of the year stuff. Top 10 worst, most disappointing, most surprising, top 10 best. And for the first year ever, since this was my first year being full time for the whole year, I'm going to actually rank every new movie I saw in 2022. So
that's awesome.
That'll be a massive one.
Congratulations on your first full year.
Thank you. It's been exhausting.
And congratulations on 100,000 subs, dude. That's so incredible. So proud of you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. There it is, right there.
Nice.
So I've seen over 70 movies. Thank you. I've seen over 70 movies this year, so that'll be a massive ranking. So yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. And what about you, Haunted Hippie? Kylie, what do you got coming up for us the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, actually, same. I watched, I think, 82 new horror releases, which is mostly movies and just a few TV shows. So I'm doing a ranking of all of those as well. But my two, and then on Christmas Day, I'm gonna drop a review slash plot breakdown of the Mean One. So I'm excited to do that. And then my two bigger, beefier videos that are coming out within the next month. I'm doing a massive It comparison. I'm almost done with the book, comparing that to the 1990 film and 2017 and 2019. That's going to be big fat video. So I'm excited for that one. And I'm also doing I'm working my way through Tim Burton's catalog to do a Tim Burton deep dive. So that's what's coming up.
Nice.
So you're reading the It book right now?
I am. And before you ask, no, I've not made it to that scene yet.
I'm just saying you're reading a book, you fucking nerd.
1,100 pages. It's so big. It's taken me like all year because I just don't want to read it.
I would be happy to read it if like the pages popped up when I opened it. That would be
You just have
fantastic.
to sound out the words. Like,
No, it's so dense. I've had to take breaks and like read other books in between because I just don't want to pick it up. But it does have good moments, but it does drag. This
is a true story. So I picked up it with the intention of reading it whenever I was like 16. I'm not a reader either. Most of the books that I read in my life were ones my teachers forced me to read, so they kind of ruined any potential love I could have had. But I loved the 1990 movie so much, so I was like, I want to read this big fat ass book. And I pretty much committed the line to memory. Unfortunately, I got to a point in the first probably 8th of the book, and it was describing when the character Stan lost his virginity to his wife. And the way that Stephen King writes, I got to this point, and there was a line where he goes, and his erect penis shot out of his gingery pubic hairs like an exclamation point. And I was like, watching the movie, fuck this.
Not for me.
That's enough.
I was all good until you said ginger pubic hairs. That's where you lost me.
To God, dude, I probably messed up maybe 2 words. That's almost a direct quote.
That is true. I've read the book and I remember that. Unfortunately,
that is verbatim.
Like, what the fuck? No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to retract my previous statement. We don't need a pop-up version of this book.
Yeah.
We're fine without it. Great stream, Spooky's ears, Cody's pimp bathrobe look. Love you all. See you next time. Thank you, brother. We appreciate
This is
it.
a dress shirt. You caught me on a good day.
Well, Cody, if you need a Christmas slasher, Santa's sleigh is a fun ride. Okay. So there's that as well. Thank you guys so much for your donations. We really do appreciate it. Again, thank you guys so much. And if you haven't already, like I said, make sure you're subscribing to this wonderful panel. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I will be posting tomorrow my interview with Stephen Tramontana, the director and writer of Bride of Killer Pinata. And we have not only obviously the exclusive sneak peek that I showed you guys earlier, but we have a couple other sneak peeks into Bride of Killer Pinata. So we can show you guys a couple other scenes. We would have some behind the scenes stuff that didn't make it into the film that we filmed while we were on set. So it was a really fun interview to do to have him back. And I hope you guys can check that out. Panel, please don't go anywhere. We got a couple more questions for you guys. Everybody else, as always, keep talking horror.
Stay who you are.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.